I think they know exactly what they're doing. They're both clearly smart people. They're both clearly successful people. They've just built brands and businesses about buy term, invest the rest, which is the antithesis of whole life insurance. They can't pivot. They can't say, but their brand, their investors, their stockholders, their shareholders, the people that are dependent on them being successful, would be totally inconvenienced if all of a sudden at their age, 40 years into their business, they pivoted and said, oh yeah, I was wrong.
And those are not negotiable. Those are not arguable. That's not my opinion. That's not Cole's opinion. Those are facts. And so like you can look up the facts. And if you're comfortable with the fact that Dave owns a term insurance company and Susie has lied and scammed her clients and you want to believe them unequivocally, without questioning, well, you might want to look in the mirror and start like thinking to yourself why you're thinking what you're thinking and why you're doing what you're doing. Hey, what's going on, cash flow hackers? It's Chris and Cole with Life 180, and today we're going to be talking about something really fun. We're just sitting here talking, and ultimately we wanted to throw some fun little jabs at Suze Orman and Dave Ramsey, and and I say that kind of playfully, but in all truthfulness, there's a lot of differentiating thought around there about how to create wealth, and it's really important. I think Cole and I both have a passion. Cole, I'll let you speak to this too, but like we both have a passion about helping people reach freedom, right? Financial freedom. The idea of retirement is to me, it's almost like a 4-letter word at this point in time, right? Like it's like and I don't use the word hate very often, but I just like there's something grating about the idea of just like working because you have to for 40 years and just like being Mr. Smithers, you know what I mean? Like from The Simpsons, like trying to accumulate my money just to get to this place where I can selfishly retire and like whatever, rather than like trying to create and like, reach freedom so you can be more intentional and show up in your life more powerfully and whatever. And then the other thing is like, what Dave and Susie are teaching is just wrong. So before I go down I'm going to let you give like an intro and we'll get into some stuff. Like,
yeah, I love it. So the Dave and Susie, I really want to call her Suze. I mean, I think Suze. I don't know how she spells. Susie, get it spelling her name that way. Come on, Suze. Anyway, Dave,
she can't even spell.
I can barely pronounce Susie. I don't know. It's Dave. I got Dave on lock, but Suze, I stumble over Susie. Anyway, the thing about these two characters is like, so people kind of ask me all the time, and you Google whole life insurance, you Google infinite banking, you Google the idea of banking on yourself, these tax-free banking strategies that we suggest that are becoming viral right now. It's the fastest growing financial strategy in North America by far. People are really starting to finally buy into it. They Google, they search the internet, these two talking heads pop up, and they have something to say about it. And then people come back to people like you and I, Chris, and they say, but Dave Ramsey or Suze Orman has this to say about whole life insurance. They don't like it. And I'm like, no kidding. They go, so I don't know. I tend to think that Suze Orman and Dave Ramsey know a lot about whole life insurance. There's a lot of economic people in our circle that we know well that just think they don't understand it or don't know how it works because they're just simply describing it incorrectly. I don't believe that. I think they know exactly what they're doing. They're both clearly smart people. They're both clearly successful people. They've just built brands and businesses about buy term, invest the rest, which is the antithesis of whole life insurance. They can't pivot. They can't say, but their brand, their investors, their stockholders, their shareholders, the people that are dependent on them being successful would be totally inconvenienced if all of a sudden at their age, 40 years into their business, they pivoted and said, oh yeah, I was wrong. They can't do that.
100%. Well, think about it like this too. Like Suze Orman has already shown that she's willing to lie to people. I mean, she got in trouble with her whole like debit card, credit card, scam going on that she kind of got people out of. So like, she's already shown that she's willing to lie just to like build her brand and like make money and whatever. So like, if you want to trust her, you can, but like whatever, go trust Doug Andrew too. And like, he's got something to tell you, but like, he's,
go buy some universal life insurance.
I shouldn't have done that. That was a job I shouldn't have taken.
No, you could do it. I mean, whatever.
But
it's not like Doug Andrew. Maybe it's his universal life insurance. Yeah, he's like the poster child.
Yeah. Universal life is like whatever. But so like, and that is what it is. But like then But then, like, Dave Ramsey owns a term life insurance company. It is a massive conflict of interest. There is a moral hazard there, like in following his advice. And now people could say, hey guys, there's a moral hazard in us, like, listening to you because you're advocating for infinite banking. Well, just so you know, I'm not licensed. I can't sell you anything when it comes to this. I believe in it. I've been coaching. I gave up my licenses in 2016. And since that time, I focused on training agents because, like, what I realized is there's a massive lack of education and training in this industry. So I dedicated my life to help create content and help agents elevate and understand this stuff better so they can show up more powerfully for their clients and prospects that they're trying to help. And that's what this is all about. I haven't been able to sell anything for 5.5 years. You know what I mean? But I still show up and create this content because I believe in it so much, because the entrepreneurs I work with, like, the strategy makes sense. Now, I will say, it's more beneficial for some than others. It's all mindset. I will say with the right assets, everybody can use, like, we'll just call it infinite banking for the sake of this video to keep it simple. But, like, whatever you want to call it, using a properly structured whole life insurance policy, it's not necessarily the right timing for everybody to buy it right now. But I'm a big believer, if everybody understood it, eventually it would play a role in their financial life. And the thing, and I just, I don't want this to be like a super long video, and I don't want to be just ranting and bashing Dave and Suze, even though we did, I think, a pretty sufficient job covering the fact that they have big time conflicts of interest. And those are not negotiable. Those are not arguable. That's not my opinion. That's not Cole's opinion. Those are facts. And so, like, you can look up the facts. And if you're comfortable with the fact that Dave owns a term insurance company and Suze has lied and scammed her clients, and you want to believe them unequivocally, without questioning, well, you might want to look in the mirror and start, like, thinking to yourself why you're thinking what you're thinking and why you're doing what you're doing. Like, that's just a little, like, truth bomb.
Yeah.
But
the reality of it is that, I'm with Chris, and I partnered with Chris because of his commitment to service. He pointed out he's not licensed, and he doesn't gain directly from putting the advice out that he does about, say, whole life insurance. Dave and Suze clearly do. They've built massive empires around it, and the risk of them pivoting, I think, is, I've already defined, that it's very clear. The reality of it is that Dave and Suze have actually done more for whole life insurance, for Chris's passion, for my movement. Every time that these people come out and bash whole life insurance, all that they do, they've forgotten how smart and sophisticated people actually are. How smart you actually are. Because every time that they bash what it is that we believe in, that we know critically, mathematically, scientifically, actuarially, all they do is just drive more people to us. I love it when they get out there and bash it, because people don't have to get much below the surface other than a couple feet to realize, holy crap, I get it. I see what they're doing. They're just straight wrong.
Totally. Yeah, no, I mean, there's no doubt about it. The math doesn't lie in this situation. And listen, like, I did a video the other day. I don't know if you saw. I think you did. We talked about it, Cole. But, like, talking about, like, following. I should almost do a video and, like, with the same content, but, like, re-title it, like, here's what happens if you follow Dave's plan, kind of thing, where you save 10% of your income and you earn a rate of return. And like, what Dave doesn't do is he doesn't take inflation, taxes, economic, political environment into the equation. And those are some of the most important things to do. And I talked about this the other day, and I did a really bad job, but, like, while I was doing this, like, video, I had this analogy that hit me. And the idea is, the further out the target that you're trying to hit is, the harder it is and the more still that target needs to be for you to be successful, right? So I had this analogy of, like, a sniper, like an Army Ranger sniper. And I don't care how good of a marksman that sniper is, if he's shooting out at a mile, that target better be still, because no matter what, that bullet's got to go, it's got to arc, you got to take wind conditions into consideration. Is that target going to move? If it does, that bullet's got seconds in the air, right, before it's going to hit that target. And so no matter how good of a shot that guy is, the further away the target is, like, the more variables that are out of his control, so the less likely that marksman is to hit the target, right? The closer it comes in, that sniper, 40 years is 1,000 feet or whatever, and 10 years is 100 feet. He's going to hit that target every time at 100 feet, but, out at maybe not 1,000, but like 4,000 feet, he's going to have a hard time hitting it, right? And so like, it's the same with your money. You know, this whole buy and hold strategy, like with Dave saving, like, listen, if you make 150 grand as a couple and you're saving as a household and you're saving 10% of your money right now and you have 35 years to get to retirement, right? And you're just starting, or you've been doing that 35 years ago, you started doing, or, you know, X amount of time and you had a 35-year retirement planning horizon. At 135 lifestyle, you need $3.375 million to be able to implement the 4% rule, to be able to and then if you count for inflation and what you're going to need to be able to maintain your standard of living, you literally need $320,000 a year 35 years from now if you're living on $135,000 today. So I mean, obviously not everybody's going to be at, you know, if you're 45, you're talking 20 years out, not 30, but like still, you got to take inflation into consideration. And the bottom line is you're going to need anywhere between $3.5 and $8 million to retire. I don't know many people who genuinely sit there and go, you know what, I think that's achievable if I'm saving 15 grand a year, you know? And so what I know about the psychology of human beings is when we don't believe we're going to be successful in something and we look at the math and we go, something just doesn't make sense, our brain is going to shut us down. Our brain is going to say, you know what, like, why? I don't think you're going to be successful there. Why don't we just enjoy life now for what we have, right? And we'll deal with our problems later. And
the big fear is that a lot of people look at this daunting number that you just put forward, which is, you know, $3 to $8 million to be able to retire. But those are actual real numbers. That is what people would need to be able to have the retirement of, not even necessarily their dreams, but just a kind of quote unquote retirement. But we do believe that retirement is a 4-letter word. What we're lending. So what's the solution? We can't do that. We can't retire. Well, it's something called universal basic income. I mean, and now we're looking at a real kind of frightening, I got to say another C word, you know, kind of like communist and socialist and fascist and
it's leading to financial slavery. That's what it's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, not to be like over the top, but it is. And that's the path we're going.
Yeah.
And you know, the reality is, like, you know, Dave Ramsey gets on his soapbox and he's talking about, and I have people comment on my channel all the time, on our channel all the time, right? Where it's like, oh, Dave Ramsey made me a millionaire. I'm like, I don't care. Like, good for you, but what is that actually going to do for you? Stop thinking about, like, how much money do I have in my account? And think about, what's that money going to do for you? You know, like $1 million, I got news for you, isn't jack at this point in time. Like, it's just not. It's not going to do anything for you in retirement. If you don't have any new cash flow coming in and you need that $1 million to last you forever, I got news for you. Especially in a world today where we're having 5.6% inflation, right? Like, that $1 million just, you know, became $950,000 real quick, and now you start needing to pull out of it to live off. Now that you have, you know, the purchasing power is getting eroded, you're having to pull out of it, and there's so many variables that are out of your control. You need to be thinking about cash flow, and that's why their way of thinking. Listen, and to Dave's credit, here's what I'll say. To his defense, and I don't defend him very often, but here's what I will say, is that his philosophies worked really well from the early 80s all the way until, like, let's say the early 2000s, when interest rates were declining, when tax rates were going down, and all these but like, what was working, what made his thing really popular and really good, the variables and the environment has changed. It's now the opposite, so you need to think differently. So
yeah, amazing. We wanted to keep this video tight and to the point. I think we did a good job with that. I know you took a lot of value. Why don't you work your magic, Chris Kirkpatrick, and let the viewers know what to do.
All right, buddy. So, guys, if you haven't already, hit that like button, please, so the YouTube algorithm knows to share it out with more people. Obviously, helps the channel, helps serve more people. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, click the bell. That way you get notified every single time we launch a new video. And at the end of this, you'll see two things. So there's going to be an awesome video that'll be, I think, relevant to serving you and helping get you more information and taking you down the learning curve. And also an amazing playlist that'll help you out. So click on one of those, continue the journey, and that's it. I hope you had learned something from this and have a blessed, inspirational day. And we'll see you on the next video. Take care.